friends, welcome and welcome back to my channel. My name is Erin and I am so excited that you decided to take time out of your day to spend with me because today we are doing a little bit of a mood reading vlog. I have some books that I wanted to get to in December and didn't get a chance to. I have some books that I saw DNF'd in 2024 that I want to revisit. And yeah, just some books that I want to get into, basically. So we're going to do a little bit of a mood reading vlog. I don't know exactly the books that I want to read, but I have a little bit of a stack that, we're going to pick from. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Let's just get into this first book. So let's talk about Flamefall. So I did end up finishing it. I didn't give like halfway thoughts or anything because when I soft DNF'd this book in 2024, I was 65% into it. I was literally like on page 300. So I didn't feel like there were no halfway thoughts to give because I was basically done with the book. It was just a whole lot. So I decided that I needed to set it down for a second. And that second turned into the rest of the year. But that's okay because we went back to it and I finished it up this time and I'm ready to share my thoughts on this book. Okay, so first off, I'm going to tell you about Faebound, which is the first book in the series because Flamefall is the second book and I will not spoil that for you. So let me tell you a little bit about the first book in just the Aurelian Cycle series before we start talking about my thoughts on this. Annie and Lee were just children when a brutal revolution changed their world, giving everyone, even the lowborn, a chance to test into the governing class of dragon riders. Now they are both rising stars in the new regime, despite backgrounds that couldn't be more different. Annie's lowborn family was executed by dragonfire, while Lee's aristocratic family was murdered by revolutionaries. Growing up in the same orphanage forced their friendship, and 7 years of training have made them rivals for the top position in the dragon riding fleet. But everything changes when survivors from the old regime surface, bent on reclaiming the city. With war on the horizon and his relationship with Annie changing fast, Lee must choose to kill the only family he has left or to betray everything he's come to believe in. And Annie must decide whether to protect the boy she loves or step up to be the champion her city needs. This is a YA fantasy series at kind of like the first book is kind of at a dragon riding academy. And this series as a whole is very political and very much so. I hate to use this reference, but it's one that people easily get. But it kind of reminds me of the Hunger Games in the political nature of it. Not necessarily the games, but all of the politics and the way that the poor are treated and like the stark differences between the capital and District 12 kind of reminds me of the differences between the medals. In this world, everyone takes a test and it classifies them as a medal, and they have to wear a wristband that shows what medal they are, and the golds are at the top. And I think it may be, is it iron or bronze at the bottom? But yeah, everything from the amount of food that you get to eat to the type of jobs where you live, everything is determined by this test that you take. And I think you take it as a child. So yes, it's very unfortunate actually. But the first book, there is spark of a rebellion, and that is carried into Flamefall. So in Fireborn, we only get Annie and Lee's perspective, but in Flamefall, we get a new perspective, and I very much enjoyed that. Also, in Flamefall, we got a little LGBTQ going on. And that was really interesting and fun to see in a YA book as well. My thoughts on Flamefall was that it definitely, I didn't mind how political it was. I actually really enjoy books that are heavy on the politics. But I think for me, what initially made me soft DNF this book was that it just kind of broke my heart to see how the people were being treated in Callipolis, which is where Annie and Lee live, but also in Flamefall, we are brought a new setting of New Pythos. And in a way, New Pythos was worse. And it was just, it broke my heart. It irritated me. And it also, you know, with the state of our country, it was too much. It was too much, and I just couldn't do it. So yeah, and even picking it back up, it was very hard to get through. But I think this series is so important, and I think it does a great job at being, able to explain these things to a younger audience. But also, I think adults can get a lot from this book in this series as well. I rated this a 3.5 star. And my main issue with this, my main gripe was that this was entirely too long, in my opinion. This was about 480 pages, and I felt every page. It just seemed like some things just were droned on and on and on about, and we didn't need as many details of situations as we got, especially because some of it was repetitive. And yeah, I just felt like my tag is itching. It's really bothering me today. But anyway, yeah, I just felt like this was way too long. With it being so long, it kind of made my intrigue go in and out. Like some scenes I was very much invested in, while others I'm trying not to say couldn't care less because that feels very, I wasn't as invested in some places in this book. Let me say it like that. I am not a fight sequence war battle type of person. I don't like it. Like I understand that it has its purposes, but I don't like them to be drawn out. Like you get a little bit from me and then I'm over it. And so with some fantasy books, that definitely is no fault to fantasy. It's a personal thing, and so there were a lot of battles, fights, whatever you want to call it, in this. And I was just over it. I was just over it, and I wish I had it in here with me so I could hold it up. But I feel like this book could have been made shorter, and the length could have been added to the third book because the third book is very short, especially compared to this. I don't know the exact number of pages, but if you just look at the spines of them, like it feels like it's almost half the size of this one. So like, why didn't we, split this up and pace it a little better? And I think that would have helped out a lot. But I will say, the cliffhanger that this ended on, the cliffhanger that this ended on, oh, it was good. It was good, and it kind of reignited my let's finish this up. So I do plan on picking up Fury Song really soon just to go ahead and finish out the series because I do really like it. I think another thing that kind of made me lower my rating of this is because I realized these are teenagers, like 16 and 17 for most of the book, and they are essentially running things in this world. Like, yes, we have adults in, the main positions in the government or whatever, but it's mainly these teenagers running around like handling business, leading the rebellions. Annie and Lee in the first book are fighting for the first rider position, which is like basically over the military or the at least the Dragon Fleet anyway. And I'm like, you would put a teenager in this position? Like, why are all the teenagers running the show? Like, what are these adults actually doing? Like, they are telling the adults what to do. And that just feels like wrong to me. And I guess it is fantasy. The words. It is fantasy, so you have to like suspend your disbelief to a certain extent, but it made my heart ache for these teenagers who had already been through so much, that are, they don't even know what life is or could be, or how to even like be a teenager. It's just so much. It's so heavy. And like, I can't imagine being 16 or 17 and going through even a quarter of the things that the teenagers in this book are dealing with. I can't imagine. So, yeah, 3.5 stars. Really happy that I went back and finished this. And I am reinvigorated to finish off this Fury song. So I'm sure you'll see me pick that up at some point this year. Hey, don't judge my appearance. This has been a rot sort of day for me, but I wanted to come and chat to you because I am on chapter 14, page 244 of the 5th season, and I am just shy of 50%. So I kind of wanted to talk about what's going on. To tell you about what's going on with the 5th season, I know I'm going to do an awful job. So I'm going to read the synopsis, which I actually have never read. I've read what's on this back part of the book, but it's basically nothing. But I've never heard or read the synopsis of the 5th season. So this is going to be something new. Hold on. Yeah, that's better. This is going to be something new for me. So let's see what this said. This is the way the world ends again. 3 terrible things happen in a single day. A son, a woman living an ordinary life in a small town, comes home to find that her husband has brutally murdered their son and kidnapped their daughter. Meanwhile, I'm going to mispronounce this, but is it Sands, whatever, the world-spanning empire whose innovations have been civilization's bedrock for 1,000 years, collapses as most of its citizens are murdered to serve a madman's vengeance. And worst of all, across the heart of the vast continent known as the Stillness, a great red rift has been torn into the heart of the earth, spewing ash enough to darken the sky for years or centuries. Now a son must pursue the wreckage of her family through a deadly, dying land. Without sunlight, clean water, or arable land, and with limited stockpiles of supplies, there will be war all across the Stillness, a battle royale of nations, not for power or territory, but simply for the basic resources necessary to get through the long, dark night. Asan does not care if the world falls apart around her. She'll break it herself if she must to save her daughter. This book has been a long time coming for me. I'm gonna hold it up for you. Actually, I'm gonna prop it up on my knee. Prop it up on my knee. So I started this in 2024, but only got about 80 pages in because my brain could not comprehend everything that's going on in this book. And even now, I am like inching through this book. I am taking my time. I am moving through it slowly. I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything. This is very much a big brain book for me. Like, I can't even read it at nighttime when I'm just like about to doze off because I need to be fully here for me to comprehend everything that's going on in this book. And it it's one of those books, in my opinion, where you just got to go with it for a little while. Just stay along for the ride for a little while, and then things will slowly start making sense. It also helps that this has an appendix with definitions of things in it. So if you're a little confused, you can just go and check that out. But I, it's hard for me to say that I'm enjoying this book, but it's not for the reason that you think. I am very much interested in everything that's going on. I think the writing is beautiful. I think that the second person chapters that we get just add such an interesting perspective to what's going on. I yeah, all the things. This is great. But it's hard to say that you enjoy something that makes you so sad and makes you feel, things, because there are situations in this that parallel to Black people in general for me, especially in America, and especially now with all the things that we have going on as a country and as a world. And, those things aren't fun. It's not fun to draw parallels to real life sad things. So that's the only reason why I'm saying I'm not enjoying this. But I see why it won so many awards. I see why people shout, scream, yell, throw up, cry about this book. Like, I see all the things. I see I'm mainly reading this because Lex loves the series. She flew through it and she was like, no, you gotta read it. You have to pick this up. Like, you can't not read it. Because I originally wasn't going to, because I knew how much of a big brain book it was. And I was intimidated by it. I'm not even gonna lie. It was and still is intimidating. It's just why I'm taking my time with it and allowing myself to take my time. But I am happy that she basically forced me to pick this up because it's just doing things for me. And I'm happy that I get to be in the know on such a prolific Black author. And yeah, all the things. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of hop in and let you know that I am halfway through this at this point finally. And yeah, I'm just moving through it slowly. Hopefully I will finish it before this vlog needs to come out. But I refuse to rush myself because I need to make sure I'm catching all the things. So also, to add to that, I have not been feeling well. And to the point where it's been hard for me to read, but especially hard for me to pick something like this up where I need to be paying attention. I've read like 5 pages, I think, of this yesterday. Like, I tried so hard. My brain was like, nope, you thought that's not what's gonna happen. So yeah, taking it slow, having enjoyed. I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say. But this is a good book. This is a great book, excellent book. All the positive words. Like, this is a masterpiece and deserves every praise that it has gotten so far. So yeah, really happy that I am finally getting to it. And I'm going to stop rambling now because I feel like I'm just going to keep trying to find different ways to say the same thing, which is completely unnecessary. So yeah, I'll be back when I finish this. Alrighty, friends. So I finished the fifth season like yesterday, or maybe even day before yesterday. I can't remember. And I want to talk about it. So I was about 70 ish, maybe the last 100, last 70 pages. And y'all, this was wild. The things that were happening, the plot twists, the reveals. When I tell you this book had everything, it had everything. My jaw was on the floor, my flabber was gasted. Look, if you haven't read this book, don't be intimidated by it. Just take your time with it. This took me about a little over 2 weeks to get through, and it was worth it. I am so happy that I decided to take my time with this and go slow and just soak up everything, because the payoff was, I don't even know. But if you can't tell already, this was an easy 5 stars. An easy, super easy 5 stars. One of probably the best books that I will ever read in my life. And I am happy that Lex pushed me outside of my comfort zone and, made me pick this book up, because I really don't think I would have read it without her push, and I would have just been missing out. And that wouldn't have been okay. So, yeah, this was a 5 star, definitely going down. It's one of my favorites of 2025, one of my all time favorites. And yes, I think that's all I have to say, because I'm just going to keep talking about how much I really enjoyed this. And yeah, yes. So I do want to briefly mention this book, because I was planning on reading it for this vlog, but I didn't make it that far in, and I don't think I had enough to say to formulate a coherent review. But I do want to mention it because it will pop up in the wrap up, and I think I read enough of it to tell you why I don't think this is going to work for me. So yeah, and yeah. So that is The Sky on Fire by Jenn Lyons. And this was actually one of the books that I put in my 5 star predictions video that I made in 2024. So it was very disappointing to get into this and then realize that it's not going to work for me. And so while I was reading this, there were some things that were mentioned and some characters that were referred to, and it made me a little bit uncomfortable. It made me side eye Jenn Lyons a bit, and I wasn't sure if I was just reading too much into the situation, but even if I was, it made me uncomfortable. Just some of the names that the some of the nicknames that the main character was giving people, I don't know. There were these characters that had locks and had braids, and I could not tell if they were supposed to be black or not. And if you're not black, what you doing with locks? You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I stopped while I was ahead. I'll put it that way. And I went to Goodreads to try to see if anyone else had any thoughts that were similar to mine. But of course, I did not find thoughts on that particular situation one way or another. But then I started reading more just about what people thought about the book in general. And while they weren't like bad reviews, they weren't they weren't good enough to make me want to just push ahead and keep reading. If anything, they made me feel more comfortable in my decision to DNF this book. So, yeah, sadly, I don't think this is going to be one for me for those reasons. So, I just wanted to mention that. Also, if you have read this book, can you let me know what that situation was with those characters? Like, were they supposed to be black? Were they supposed to be something? What was the deal with them? And also, just tell me what you thought of the book in general. Because even though I'm not going to pick it back up, I just want to know what other people think. And I haven't seen anyone that I watch personally on BookTube talk about reading this book. So let me know. Let me know. Let's talk about my reread of Faebound by Saara El-Arifi. This is the first book in the Faebound trilogy, I think, series. I don't know. But I wanted to reread it because the second book, Cursebound, is coming out in February. So I needed to be ready to go when it hits my doorstep. So, yeah. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because y'all know I talk about Faebound all the time. I slide Faebound into every recommendation video that I can. It was just in my best books of 2024. It was in a million recommendation videos. I feel like I talk your head off about Faebound as it is, and you know the plot of it by now. So yeah, I am just enjoying being back in this world, enjoying being back with my girl Erin, and all the things. All the things. I still think this is going to be a 5-star for me. I'm about halfway through my reread and I'm loving it just as much, if not more, than the first time that I read it. I think I am liking this time a little bit more because I'm able to pick up on things that I didn't necessarily pick up on the first time. So yeah, there is no need for me to spend however long talking to you about this book, but look, you know I could. But I'm gonna spare y'all, but let you know that during the time of me filming this vlog and reading for this vlog, I also reread Faebound. And with all of that being said, let us wrap up this video. We started off with Flamefall, which is the second book in the Aurelian cycle, and that is a 3.5 star. Moved on to the 5th season, the first in the Broken Earth trilogy, and that was a 5-star. We DNF'd The Sky on Fire, and we decided to reread Faebound, and that is, of course, still going to be a 5-star for me. So thank you for staying to the end of this video, for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, anything that you do to support me and my channel. I am very, very grateful for you, and I hope that you have the best day that you possibly can, and I'll catch you in the next one. I'm super excited. We're going into February. We're going into February. That sounded weird to me. February. And February is Black History Month. You know, we read Black all year round, but we're about to hone in and go hard for February. So I'm super excited about that. Hope you are too. And I will catch you in the next video. Bye.